Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan, and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token lefty. And together, we look at the news. And our goal is simple. We want to show you that it is still possible for people that don't align politically to still get along. And if we don't get along, guess what? We're capable of having discussions like normal human beings. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliation. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, brother? How's it going? Happy Thursday to you and to all our viewers.
Happy Thursday. I don't know, man. I never understood those things like happy Friday, happy this, happy that. I work 7 days a week.
Happy Monday, brother.
I always work. I'm always working. There's no such thing. Even on vacation, I'm working. So I've never understood that. Hey, happy Wednesday. It's happy Wednesday. I don't get it. If your job sucks that bad, find another one. If you have to count the hours for you to leave, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, if it meant, I feel for you. If that's how your life is, it sucks. It fucking sucks.
You must be a hit at parties.
I don't go to parties, man.
Yes, I can see why.
You know, my biggest problem is I don't do small conversations. I don't do.
It is tough. I know.
Idiotic conversation. I'm not interested.
Having big talk, not small talk.
Yeah, but that means that you need to have a conversation. You need to have those conversations with people that are maybe not awake, but informed.
Yeah,
but most people don't care. Most people just don't care.
Yeah, I find it's hard to go around and just make, small talk with people that you don't know. And, sometimes you get the odd interesting conversation, but most of it's just super generic. And, it's like, yeah, okay, this was fun, but time to go home.
Which is, because I used to fight, I didn't drink anymore, right? It wasn't part of my diet. I couldn't. I was so strict on my diet. And that lasted for 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yep.
And during that time, I even worked as a bouncer, and I looked at how dumb people are when they're outside drinking.
Being drunk. Oh yeah, when you're sober around drunk people, you see it completely.
Oh, Jesus. So, I'm not a big hit at parties unless it's a older gathering where people are more vested in talking about these things, or else I just don't go.
Yeah, if it is interesting conversation.
Well, yeah, interesting if it's a driving conversation. If we're talking about what's going on and, the last movie that you've seen or what's going on with this celebrity, I couldn't give two shits.
Oh, yeah.
Don't care.
The latest episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Not your thing?
Fuck no. I don't watch TV. I love movies, though, but I don't watch TV.
What's your favorite?
I don't watch TV at all. Movies? I like movies like Coach Carter. That's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, like inspirational, motivational.
300. I'm a big fan of martial arts, so 300 is a good one. If you look at Denzel Washington, I'm a big fan of his movies too, because they tend to have a meaning behind it. Like yesterday, I rewatched, what was it called? Knowing, with Nicolas Cage. Do you know that movie?
Yeah, I really like that one. That was cool.
But
it's the one
the
kids get to heaven in the end, right? Yeah. And then
did you notice? I haven't watched this movie in a very long time, and now I'm looking at it from a Christian's perspective.
Oh yeah. I remember noticing that
it's
when I first saw
super Christian, super
so.
like there's so many undertone of Christianity. Even at the end, when the aliens goes up, they become transparent, and you can see the wings in their back. So I'm like,
Disney made it, right?
I don't know. I have no clue
Disney
who made
movie.
it.
And I remember thinking that because, like I grew up in a Christian household, so I'm familiar with the imagery. And I remember thinking that when I first saw it, was like, wow, this is basically a Christian story put out by Disney. They changed it just enough so that it wasn't sort of being masked.
But the father is still a pastor, right? Like the grandfather, like Nicolas Cage's father is a pastor, and he's a scientist. So it's I love that dynamic. This is something we should make an episode about, have an expert on this, but having, how Christianity and science don't go against one another. Like for the longest time, the biggest scientists were actually Christians. Like they were pastors and they were fathers in the church. So one guy I met years ago, and I've quoted this probably 100 times, if not more, but he is a microbiologist out of University of Montreal. Very successful guy, atheist, self-proclaimed atheist. He told me on the podcast, but he told me something that always stayed with me, where science explains how something works, religion explains why it works the way it does. And it always stayed with me, especially that it came from an atheist. I'm like, damn, that's actually that's heavy, bro. Good for you. But he's a smart guy, right? Jason is saying, remember the Titans. Yeah, that's a good movie. One too. And I agree with this one, the Hurricanes.
That's a Denzel movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a true story about this boxer that has been persecuted his whole life, spends a shit ton of time in prison.
Bob Dylan and he written about it.
Yes, that's it. That's exactly it. And then there's a bunch of cool Canadians with this black adopted kid from the ghetto that he reads his book, tells to his foster parent. I don't know if you call them foster parent. There's not really a term for it, but they actually take care of him. They teach him, they bring him to school, and he reads his first book about it, and then they end up moving to the US and going to rescue him. But it's insane because it's a real story. That's what I found very interesting. Oh, you should. I
know the story, but I haven't seen the movie. I should check that out.
But the song you're talking about is exactly it. Bob Dylan wrote a song about the hurricane, how he was getting fucked by the system, and the movie is brilliant. But again, it's Denzel. Really? I'm extremely biased when it comes to him. I absolutely love that guy. He's my favorite actor by far. Fucking love that guy.
Celebrity cheat, if you had one.
Oh, not that much. It's just, he said something, one of the most brilliant things that I've ever heard. He said it, and I've again repeated it at least 100 times. If you follow the news, you're misinformed. If you don't, you're uninformed. So basically, no matter what you do, you're fucked. Like, you're fucked. You need to put your critical thinking hat on to.
Well, it explains why it's important to read media, even if you don't trust it, right? At least just to know what sort of they're saying.
Yeah, to be aware of what they're saying, but that's why it's so important too to read books, read old school books, like read stuff that's been written for a while, to see how we have changed as a society and try to understand how it happened, why it happened, what does it actually mean, and how careful we need to be, because we are definitely living in a world of information above all. Like, they don't care anymore if the information is true or not. All they care about is being the first to report on it or to talk about it. That's all that matters now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think in some ways it's almost information overload. Where
it is.
It's so much of it that our brains just aren't designed or capable of handling it. Yeah, I like what you said about books. I think books are. I really think they should be pushing that more in school, like especially with kids these days and social media. Like, they have the attention span of a goldfish, and all of society.
Actually, you do know that that's incorrect.
What
we have less of an attention span than goldfish, actually. No, seriously, it's not even a joke. Like, I'll find you the numbers. I think a goldfish the attention span of a goldfish is like 5 seconds. The one of a human now is like 3 seconds something.
Yeah.
So we have less of an attention span than a fucking goldfish. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think, I mean, I used to be a huge reader growing up. Huge reader. Now, this was before the internet, right? I don't know if I would have been if I grew up now. But that's really something I think we've gotten away from. And I think, there's just something about a book too. Like, yeah, it's great. Like, the information is good, but just holding, words in your hand, it feels in a way that, scrolling through your phone, even if you're reading that book on your Kindle or what have you, it's not the same.
I agree. That's why, like, you can see even in the RV, I probably have 150 of my books. I have cases and cases and cases of them, because some I've read, some I haven't had time to read, some I buy because I know that I've read them, but I know they might disappear. Like, they're the type of books that are so controversial that it's very easy to just make them disappear. And it happens all the time, right? So I have a lot of books that are like, I have, see, this is a book that a lot of
What?
people would
Yeah, I was gonna
not
say
like, but
what are one of these books here?
no, but I got a book. I got Mein Kampf from Adolf Hitler. Not because but not because I support him,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
because I want to understand what his views are so that I can see the next one coming. I have a lot of
Have
books
you
on
actually read it?
psychology. Nope, never.
No.
I haven't had time. I haven't taken the time to do it because this is one of those books that could disappear
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want you to know how. You look at what's going on in Canada. There's a lot of tactics that Hitler used. They're used in Canada against us, like the censorship, taking their guns away. Those are things that have been done by tyrannical governments forever. So I know that those type of books might eventually disappear because they don't want you to be able to do the correlation between what happened and what actually is happening right now. But it looks bad. If you have somebody that you don't know shows up to your house for the first time and they see you have Mein Kampf, and especially looking like me, yeah, it doesn't.
Skinhead.
Oh, bro, I have a. I don't know if fascination is the right term, but I love psychology, right? I like to understand how the brain works. And for a while, I was reading a lot about serial killers, how they're made, how those people are not necessarily born this way. It's really, they are a result of their environment. And most of them, if you look at most serial killers, they had a really fucked up relationship with their mothers. Their mothers,
Yeah.
often those guys
Yeah.
come from a broke down family with only a mother, and the mother is extremely abusive. And they go back, like you can look at their story and start seeing why they were killing very specific type of women. It's like they were getting back at their, it's fucked up. But all to say that I had some parties where I was living in the woods, and during that time I had 2-3 books, and we're talking encyclopedias of serial killers on my coffee table, and people you don't know very well show up. They're like, what the fuck? Like, I'm living in the middle of the woods and I have books on serial killers. Yeah, you're not very interested in being in my house for too long.
Yeah.
You're not gonna close your eyes on me, right?
Yeah.
But
pass me
but
that
those are the type
chainsaw
of books.
there for a second.
No, chainsaw. I'm a big
Wanna
gun
see my
owner, bro.
chainsaw?
So, no, but I'm a big gun owner too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny how
doesn't
there
look
aren't
very
there
good.
aren't too many serial killers that kill by gun, right? I think Son of
No.
Sam was the first one I can think of, but other than that, it seems
It's
to
not
be
personal.
like, yeah, it's
I don't think
that's
it's
what it is.
personal enough.
It's not personal enough. They have to feel it, which is pretty fucked up when you think
Oh,
about it.
bro, when you start looking, there was a series on TV about this, about you know, the BAU. It's the behavioral, what is it? BAU.
The FBI unit or
Yeah, so there's a
behavioral unit.
series
Oh,
unit
you're thinking,
analysis unit. There's a series. It only did 2 seasons,
yeah.
but it's the 2 guys that started it. And how they started it is they went and they sat down, they went to prison, to jails, they sat down with serial killer and try to understand why they did what they did. The series cool. The series is very, very cool, but it gives you an insight as to how the BEU started and how fucked up serial killers actually are. Like, those guys are, they're not, they're scary, bro, because they don't care. They have no empathy. Zero empathy.
Yep. Absolutely.
Man, that was a rabbit hole.
Like always.
Yeah. So today,
what do we got? Yeah, what do we got on the agenda today?
You know, the number one thing I want to talk about is something that's happening tomorrow. It's happening on February 28th, and I call it the Woke Boycotts. Okay. So there's a bunch of woke warriors that are boycotting. They're starting a boycott tomorrow for 24 hours. They want to boycott certain companies that rolled back their DEI programs. And hopefully the video I found, I can't remember if it actually talks about the next ones, but they're planning a bunch of them. Like, over the next month, they're going to plan a bunch of them. I want to talk about, still related to that, what Leslie Jones, do you know that actress / comedian, that black activist that was very big with BLM and all that crap?
Was she on SNL?
I don't know. I don't since SNL went woke.
Yeah,
I can't watch that garbage. No. So, but I want to share what she said about the boycott and how we should handle it, which is so fucking ironical. Like you of all people, you're gonna enjoy that one.
Okay.
I want to talk about just a small talk about Epstein Files. Supposedly, that the
I was just gonna say
files are
they're
being
being released
released. It
today,
might be
aren't they?
released today, but it seems that the left is kind of gonna try to block it by
I don't
shutting
understand why.
down
Like,
government.
how is this a partisan issue? You know what I mean?
That's a pretty simple question. That's easy to answer.
Well, how?
No, but look
I mean,
at
pedophiles aren't partisan. You know, they exist.
but look at you. But if you look at USAID, why is the left so against it? Because obviously they've been taking advantage of it for so long, and they don't want to be identified. Like, is that exactly what's happening? That's why I have my hat, because technically you never know. It just doesn't look good. And the same thing is true. Like, Biden could have released those files a long time ago. Same thing with Diddy. We still, like, he's almost disappearing from the news now. Like, we're not, and you know, I spoken about this before. I don't think that Epstein and Diddy are the top of this. They're not the head of the snake. They're just mid-level people that are using that to blackmail people. Like, it's very, if you understand the psychology behind it, a lot of those things are recorded so that they can use that later. And they have politicians, they have celebrities, they have the people. It's easy to see how this is manipulation to blackmail people, like further down the road. Sure. So we'll just give an update. I found an article about it, so we can give an update. I was reading, one of the things I want to approach, because this is something I had never considered, but I was reading an article this morning that were talking about the Trump tariffs, because you and I talked about this on the Levine show yesterday, how we saw articles. Unfortunately, we were wrong. They haven't been pushed. Certain ones are going to be pushed. Some are still going to be applicable as per March 4th. But the article I was reading was very interesting, because they're mentioning that the tariffs are not the main concern. Like, we as Canadians, we shouldn't be worried about the tariffs, because chances are they're going to be short run. Like, they're not going to be forever, because obviously the US is not ready to be self-sufficient. So there's a lot of products that comes from us that will take them decades and billions of dollars in order to be able to be self-reliant. So it doesn't make sense for them to do it. But the article is suggesting something I never considered. So we'll talk about this. And the person that wrote that article is fucking brilliant, because I've never considered this. And what he talks about is something that I've known for years, but I had never put the correlation between what Trump is doing and how it's going to further destroy Canada, not because of what Trump is doing, but because of the way that we are in Canada. If we don't learn from what he's doing, we're going to fuck ourselves up. And if we have time, I want to talk about Zelensky, because there's a bit of an update as to what's happening with him. So before we jump into the first subject, we always have a question of the day, and this is the question I have for you guys. Do you think that corporations actually care or cared about DEI programs? Or was it all about money? That's the question I have for you guys. Do you think they cared? Do you think corporations actually care or cared about DEI programs? Or to them, it's just another way to make money? Question for you. I want to hear what you guys think.
Don't forget to engage with us if you have any questions as we go along the show. That is why we do it live. We'd love to hear from you guys.
100%.
We'll always engage, and we'll answer you guys on air. And don't forget to smash that like button if you like what you hear.
Hey, before I forget, I have that in my notes. I'll talk about it right now, and I'll add it at the end of the show. I want you guys to be aware that on March 4th, next week, and you're learning this, Rob, at the same time as the people, because I literally just got I have tentative for next week. We will have on Tuesday, March 4th, Judith Curry is going to come on the show live. She is recognized as the biggest climate change denier. This is how people call her. She's a climatologist. She used to be a professor out of Georgia Tech. Brilliant woman. however you feel about climate change, I invite you to be on the show. I've recorded a podcast with her before, and what she talks about is not what people are portraying about her. Her approach is extremely common sense. What she talks about, I completely agree with her. But next week, we're going to have her on. I'm going to ask her less questions probably because I want to really leave you, like, we'll work on the questions together like we always do. But I want really you to be able to take kind of the front seat there and see it from your perspective, because I know you believe in climate change, and that's why I wanted to have her on, so that you can have conversations with her. And I'm just going to be moderating and running the show, but I just want to moderate so that you guys can have a conversation. And next week is a busy one. On Thursday, March 6th, we have the very controversial Dr. Andy Kaufman joining us live. It's going to be at 1:30 Eastern. So this show on Thursday next week is going to be longer than usual. We will have our show that we always do for an hour and a half. Then he's going to join us. We'll be there for an hour. So expect a 2.5 hour show. But get ready. This is why I talk about this. I want you guys to check out who Judith Curie is. I want you guys to check out who Dr. Andy Kaufman is. I want you guys to do some research and come up with some questions. This is why we do it live. We want to be able for you to ask questions, because you don't have access to those guys. Those guys are not going to fucking respond to your text. But guess what? They respond to ours, because we want to put them in front of you so that you can question them.
Yeah, so and if
don't be shy, ask us questions.
Yeah, and if you're on the left and you hear that and you're just thinking, oh, climate change denier, like, get that out of your mind. This is the whole point of the show, is to open dialogue. This is not going to be a fluff piece. We're not pushing, like, we're just here to ask questions. I do believe in climate change, but I'm also, open-minded person, and I want to hear the facts. She's not some kook, as far as I understand. She's an actual scientist. So, I mean,
she's a climatologist, like very renowned climatologist.
It seems like sometimes it's like, listen to the scientists, and then you give them a scientist that says something different. Well, not those scientists. And I mean, it don't work like that. You know what I mean? Like, let's approach this with an open mind. Hear what she has to say. What harm can that be? If she's not persuasive, it won't change anyone's mind whatsoever.
But even further than that, if she doesn't know what she's talking about, she'll get exposed live in front of you guys.
Absolutely.
So that's the whole point, right? It's a win-win solution for anybody on the show. Doesn't matter. Especially, you know what? It's a win-win solution for climate change, for people that agree with climate change. Yeah. For people like you, it's a win-win. You get to question one of the most renowned climatologists, climate change denier climatologists in the world. You get to ask her question if you want. So this is the perfect chance for you to prove her wrong. Prairie, good day to you too.
Good day to you.
Zing, zing. Oh, I got news for you, Rob.
Yes.
My TikTok I appealed the TikTok.
Did you win?
They lifted it yesterday. So we're streaming live on TikTok. So for whoever's watching on TikTok, what is going on? But
we got banned live on air the other day just for talking. What were we even talking about? Just nothing.
We were reporting about RFK and his book on Fauci. That's what we were talking. Shit, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe my life is gonna go out again.
For YouTube and TikTok purposes, Fauci is an incredible citizen, and he should win every Nobel Prize for the next 10 years.
A peace. Yes, he should win, especially the one for peace. Okay, before we get started, we will add another comment from Jason. You'll know climate change is real when the people who lay that claim actually start practicing it. Don't use your gas stove from a guy who rides a private jet.
They fly into Davos, Switzerland, you know what I mean, on all their private jets. And I think that's, so just to clarify, yes, I am still a believer in climate change, but I'm also not, I've got eyes and I see what's going on. I see how the media will push narratives. And it hasn't gone above my head to notice that the same people that are saying, trust the science, are the same people that telling me that men can give birth and women can have penises. So, I mean, right away, you know, I'm not, your credibility is hanging by a thread. Now, I'm not a climate scientist. I'm not out there doing the data. So I rely on people to inform me. And if I don't trust the people that inform me, then it all goes to shit, right? So I still, in some ways, I'm a liberal. I almost feel like I'm clinging to this climate change. You know, I don't want to believe it. It's not comfortable to change your beliefs, right? But that's what this show is about, is challenging those beliefs and being uncomfortable. So, yeah, like I'm definitely, if nothing else, you know, and two things can be true. Climate change can be real, and the media can be massively overstating the effects to push an agenda. So it'll be interesting to see what Judith has to say. And dig into that.
And, you know, I'm not going to give away, because again, I've recorded with her before, so I know where she stands and I've seen a lot of her stuff. So I'm not going to sell, I don't want to sell her opinion, but you'll see that she's very, unlike what people are saying about her, she welcomed debates. She wants to have those debates. Nobody wants to. I've reached out to so many people trying to set up that debate for her. Like, I would love to have that debate done on our platform or on my platform, whatever. But I've reached out to those people. They never get back to me. They never respond to me. And even Judith on our podcast together said that other content creators like me have tried this. They just won't sit down with her because they say that it would be giving them their platform.
Bullshit. Oh, you know, it's interesting. Let's say you had two people about to debate, and I don't know anything about what they're going to debate. I don't know anything else, but all I know is one person's excited to debate and the other person does not want to debate. With only knowing those two things, I already know which side I'm leaning on, because when you know you're right, or you feel you can back up your claims, you want debate. And that's why I think a lot of the stuff on the left, where, you know, they cloak it, they hide it behind things like, wow, we don't want to give them a platform. But it almost, you know, it's starting to feel like you guys just can't defend your positions. And that's not right. Like, at the end of the day, if someone's spewing bullshit, you want to give them a platform, don't you? Because everyone will.
You're going to expose them.
Exactly.
They'll expose
right?
them.
Exactly. Yep. So I'm not buying don't want to give them a platform.
Well, and you'll see by the end of the show, you might not agree with her. You might agree with her, but one thing's for sure, she'll kind of make you like, hold on. Because there's a lot of things she said when I recorded with her. I'm like, fuck, I never thought about it this way. But you're absolutely, because she is brilliant. Like, she is not an idiot. She's not a girl in her basement that never talked about this, that watched a few videos on YouTube. No. She taught climatology at Georgia Tech, one of the highest, one of the biggest, most renowned universities in the US. We're not talking community college here. We're talking about fucking Georgia Tech. So she's brilliant. So no matter what, she's very good, bro. Like, the way she talks, she's extremely recent. It's going to be it's the perfect show to have her on. It's the perfect platform for this. So,
and just to, like, let's just say, for the sake of argument, let's say climate change is all a giant lie, and it's this. Let's just assume that for this 1 second, the people you would expect to be sounding the alarm on that are people like Judith Curry, right? These are the people doing the science. So you can't just dismiss it, right? I'm interested. I'm interested to hear what she has to say. Specifically, I'm interested to see. You know, I suspect she's going to come in and say something like, yes, of course, climate is changing. But what might not be true is the alarmism, you know, because all of a sudden, you know, as we all know, it's very easy, you know, media seems to love keeping people scared. And then it's very easy to push an agenda, you know, like Jason had said, the people who are telling us that this biggest problem, they're flying all over the world on the private jets. Meanwhile, they're telling us to eat bugs and trying to get rid of meat. And I don't, you know, I'm not buying it. I don't buy that, right? If they were that serious, if it was that serious, they would take a step. They would make sacrifices, right? They wouldn't be traveling around on their private jets. They wouldn't be doing all these things. And so it almost feels like, yeah, it's just an agenda and a narrative. Now, again, like I said, I still believe it. I still believe anthropogenic climate change is real and a problem. Where I said is, how big of a problem? You know, are we talking about some minor changes, or are we talking about civilization ending issues, which is what they're telling us, right? I don't know.
That's what they've been telling us for 30 years.
Yeah.
The Earth was supposed to have exploded before the year 2000, as per Al Gore. Yet here we are, 2025, still enjoying life, and our overlords are still traveling the world on their yachts and on their private jets. So
I'll tell you what, they're not gonna start eating insects. I guarantee you that. They won't be eating bugs.
Now, Prairie is saying that she met us on Jason Levine's podcast yesterday. Awesome. Glad to have you on. So I guess we made an impression on Jason Levine's show. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Thanks for having us on. And it was great being on your show yesterday, brother.
It was a lot of fun.
Thanks. Yep. 2-hour conversation. That was good. He's very researched. He's very like, he knows his stuff. He's a very good show host. Like, he's good at running the show.
You could tell.
So why do you hate community college so much? Haha. I went to community college. That's how retarded I am.
That's the running joke.
There you go, bro. Exactly. And Jason's probably referring to climate change, but the world was supposed to end in 2008, 2012, 2014. Yeah. It's been supposed to, it should have ended a long time ago if you believe what everybody's telling us. But at the same time, this is why we want to have a conversation with Judith Curry. So Judith Curry, March 4th, it's tentative, but she said she was open next week, and that's the day I proposed just before this podcast. So hopefully next week, Tuesday, March 4th, Judith Curry.
What is Al Gore up to these days? I suspect he's probably flying around on his private jet, telling us, how terrible we all are and how we need to change our lives drastically, so that he can continue doing this thing.
And hold on, what was it? Jason Levine for 5 minutes.
Jason, is that you? Jason, this is Jason's burner account.
Oh, yeah. That's funny. That's actually funny. And Prairie's saying, we're supposed to be totally underwater by now. Yet our overlords are buying front beach properties all over the world.
Yeah, that's interesting too, eh? And
I've always found that very interesting. Yeah.
The other thing too is, like, regardless of how you believe about climate change, you have to admit that lately every single thing that happens, like, a forest fire, climate change, everything is being blamed on climate change. The plane crash in Toronto there a couple weeks ago, I heard one of the main things was, it was climate change. Fucking climate change?
You mean
the blizzard?
The DEI company? You talk about the DEI flying company that only hired women, that made a bunch of videos how they were proud that their team are all women and there are no men. Them? Well, they're blaming climate change. Oh, that's interesting.
It's funny though, because that's a little bit of the same thing on the other side of the coin. I think every time there's an accident anywhere,
100%,
we immediately jump to DEI. I know you're just fucking around there, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. But yeah, it made me laugh. Like, a blizzard in February in Toronto is climate change. Like, come on, come on, man. That's literally the epitome of climate in Toronto.
Until 10 years ago, we had never had snow in Canada. What are you talking about? This is
Canada's
all climate change.
It's a tropical paradise.
It used to be like Florida. What the fuck's happening? Now, let's get to the first video.
Yep.
First video, I got two of them, because one of them, I'll start with the shorter one. One is kind of an explanation as to what are those boycotts. So to put it back in perspective, I wanted to inform you guys, if you did not know, that supposedly tomorrow, woke warriors, woke consumers are going to be boycotting companies that have rolled back or got rid altogether of their DEI program. And again, that's the question for you today. Do you think that corporations ever cared about DEI, or was it all about maximizing profit? Simple questions, right? So first video, she's an influencer of some type. I just like that she kind of put it into perspective as to who is the person that started this, what it means. And then I have an actual 7-minute video that will describe exactly what it is. So let's listen to the first one.
have seen calls on social media for an economic blackout on February 28th. The campaign has gone viral online and has been shared by a few celebrities. So what is the economic blackout? The idea is to not shop at any major retailers starting at 12 a.m. on February 28th. The protest was started by the People's Union USA, a self-described grassroots organization founded by John Schwartz. He's a 57-year-old dad originally from Queens, New York, and he's been promoting the economic blackout on social media for weeks. Some supporters have suggested boycotting companies that have ended their DEI programs as a response to President Trump's executive order back in January. The People's Union says it has no political affiliation and it just focuses on fairness, economic justice, and real systematic change. In his Instagram video, Schwartz said the economic blackout means no Amazon, no Walmart, no food, no gas, no unnecessary dollars spent, and for one day, we're finally going to turn the tables. Now, while consumer spending does contribute to about 70% of the GDP, some critics say halting spending for one day might not make that big of an impact. But the grassroots effort could grow, and the People's Union USA is planning more of these events, including a week-long halt on spending at Amazon in March.
Ooh, grassroots,
So,
you say? Non-political, you say?
Hold on. Let me just, I just want to replay a certain part. As soon as she says, he claims that it's not political, but then he tells us why he does it. And tell me that's not political.
The union says it has no political affiliation and it just focuses on fairness, economic justice, and real systematic change.
What does that sound like? A conservative organization or a very woke organization? Like, come on. We have no political affiliation, but we believe in social justice. We believe that black people, hold on. No, I don't want to sell that one. Because this goes on and on and on. It just never stops.
I bet anyone who believes that also thinks that the Democratic People's Republic of Korea is democratic. You know what I mean? Just because something has a name, that's North Korea, for just for the audience who's not quite sure.
Obviously. Those guys are all about democracy. Democracy.
Very democratic. But you can tell because it's right in the name, right? So it is definitely democratic.
So, this video was kind of just an introduction. Now I have an actual news anchor that's going to go on. It's like a 7-minute video. Yep. He's going to go on more. But just so you guys know, I made a list this morning because I made a video about this. And they're planning about boycotting companies like Ford, McDonald's, Meta, Target, Walmart, Disney, Pepsi, Google, and Amazon. There's companies like Best Buy. There's other companies that are on that list, but those are the main ones.
Well, I've seen the people, if you see the people doing this boycott, I promise you they're not boycotting McDonald's. The thing that
you're so worse than I am, because since you opened the door, those fuckers are not going to boycott Amazon either. They're not getting off their asses to go shop in a store. So bullshit. Those people are still going to support Amazon. They're still going to support Walmart. They're still going to support Disney because the only thing they watch is either on Netflix or Disney. They're not going to stop going to Target. Meta. You think those people that use social media to push their agenda are going to stop using Facebook and Instagram? Sure, cool story, bro.
They push their boycotts on Facebook, and it's slacktivism. It's lazy activism, and I'm happy to see it because I think I'm pretty sure it won't do a goddamn thing, and then it will tell these companies that yes, this is not popular. People don't actually like that shit. The one thing that this kind of stuff, it's got a major problem that you can't overcome with branding is that, broadly speaking, DEI is very unpopular, right? So like populist movements require popularity. And, I don't believe for a second this is grassroots. You can astroturf, a lot, and you can pay people to show up at your rallies and pay for advertising to spread your ads on social media, but nobody really gives a shit. It's not popular, and I don't think it will be effective.
You know what they're doing, and I believe that the video we're going to watch right now is going to talk about this, but basically they're copying the idea that conservatives have been using over the past few years for, especially Target being a great example, when they kept on pushing this LGBTQ gear towards kids and stuff like that. And people are like, hey, bro, do whatever the fuck you want when it comes to this stuff, but leave the fucking kids alone. And Target lost a massive amount of money. Same thing with Budweiser. Remember Budweiser?
Bud Light, that was
they literally, that company will never recover.
No,
they used to be number one. They used to be number one. They were like number 3 or number 4 last time I checked. So they're trying to copy this, but they don't have the moral standpoint to stand on. Like when the guys did this, they're like, stop. Bud Light, for example, was the American beer. You saw all the dudes that were drinking that with their buddies. Then they have that Mulvaney monster showing up.
Dylan Mulvaney.
I was trying not to say his name, not to get in trouble on
oh really?
On TikTok.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
TikTok, bro. That dude built his whole career on being a TikTok influencer. So TikTok, I don't think we love that guy.
We love Dylan.
But all to say, but like they had something to stand on. Like they really had grievances against the direction of the company, and those companies lost billions.
That's probably like a text that's going to be taught in business school for 100 years from now. That one, like, how do you? It would be almost hard to lose that much market share from one ad, and they did it.
You couldn't. I don't think you could, outside of showing a bunch of white guys with their pointy white hats hanging black guys. You couldn't have done that much damage. Hey, Joe, I actually agree. I kind of agree with you, Joe. Like, we can argue this, but Joe's saying that DEI was a noble idea that got pushed to irrational extremes.
Yep, absolutely.
That is how our owners kill every ideas.
Well, I mean,
any extreme is bad. It's always in the extremes, right? We have to remember that extremes never represent the vast majority of people. Bell curve shows us 65 to 70% are somewhere in the middle, left, right, middle. The other 20 to 30% are the extremes, but unfortunately, those are the ones that have the loudest voices because the rest of the people are too busy fucking working to pay attention.
I mean, Joe, I agree with you. It actually brought me to mind. I had to look it up here. It's a quote. It says, "Every great cause begins as a movement, becomes a business, and eventually degenerates into a racket." And I think that's basically what you're seeing here.
Who quoted that? Who said that? You need to give credit to that one because that was a great quote, bro.
Eric Hoffer.
Repeat that again. Repeat it again and quote the guy afterwards.
Yeah. So it's Eric Hoffer from The Temper of Time says, "Every great cause begins as a movement, becomes a business, and eventually degenerates into a racket." And I think you can see climate change there too, right? Like it's a lot of these things. That's why they're so effective. Is they did, if we forget climate change, but we go back to the DEI thing. There was a need for that kind of thing, maybe 20, 30 years ago, but it's no longer necessary. And it has, by this point, it has degenerated into the racket part. And, it went through the business stage. Corporate America swallowed it whole hog. And now it's a grift. Now it's a racket. Yeah, exactly.
It even fondled with the balls.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the first video. I want to show you a longer video because, the first one could be taken very, it wasn't very partisan. Like, she was just saying what it was. Obviously, she seemed to agree with it, but it wasn't over partisan. I want to show you, this is from MSNBC. They're going to tell us why it's important and what is a great thing. But just listen to this. And again, if you have comments, you have questions, because that was the question of the day. Do you think that those corporations ever cared about DEI, or was it just to maximize profit because that was the thing to do as per culture?
So struggling on the economic front, and the Trump administration's anti-DEI initiatives are not helping. Take Walmart, for example, which sent the stock market into a tailspin Thursday when its stock dropped 6.7%, and the retail giant warned of slow growth in 2025, despite reporting a strong 2024.
Yet, hold on, I'm going to stop him. Yet, it's on the same dates that Trump announced tariffs on Chinese goods, which Walmart sells Chinese goods. So see how they're using DEI.
Wait, hold on. Did they say that it was because they moved away from DEI that the stock price
That,
went
that's
down?
yeah, that's what he's. Hold on, I'll play it again.
Yeah,
no. Let
Okay.
me play it again. That's why, you know what? Good call because that's why I stopped it. Because I'm like, hey, bro. So the 25% tariff on Chinese goods have no impact on this.
25% tariffs on literally 100% of Walmart's goods. Come on, man.
No. But thank you
That's
for pointing.
crazy.
I was just pointing this out. Thank you for your reaction. But
holy hell. Yeah, let's put that again.
There you go.
Major companies are struggling on the economic front, and the Trump administration's anti-DEI initiatives are not helping. Take Walmart, for example.
No way, man.
It's not the tariffs, it's DEI.
So this actually ties so much into what we're talking about, like climate change. Like, regardless of how you feel,
I told you you'd like it. We're 10 seconds in, bro.
Yeah,
10 seconds in a 7-minute video, you're already losing your shit.
Like, this is how the media shapes narratives. That's obviously bullshit what they're saying.
You know, man, I'm becoming very good at triggering you. I know I see videos. I'm like, I'm a trigger Rob on that one.
Get him going.
Which sent the stock market into a tailspin Thursday when its stock dropped 6.7% and the retail giant warned of slow growth in 2025 despite reporting a strong 2024. We also learned.
What's the difference between 2024 and 2025? 25% tariffs. Like, come on.
Earlier.
But of course, that's not it. It's DEI, bruh.
That's hilarious. It's like like, I don't know if they had like like, you know, and like, I don't know if have you familiar with the Dresden firebombing from World War II when the Allies just pounded the shit out of Dresden, the whole city burned to the ground. It'd be like if the next day the news was like there was
climate change.
A large climate change caused a large fire, ignoring the 200 million pounds of bombs dropped on the city.
Climate change. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Climate change.
This might not make sense
at
now,
McDonald's.
1945, but it'll make sense in 40 years. Don't worry.
You'll get it 80 years from now. You'll get it.
Had its biggest sales drop since the height of the pandemic almost 5 years ago. Now, this all could be coincidental, but both of these companies recently scaled back some of their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. While it's unclear if there's any connection between their struggles and a DEI backlash, it's worth noting.
See how good they are? This is what it is. So Trump has put anti-DEI policies in place. They're showing a decrease in sale. We're not saying that's what it is, but
it could be a coincidence.
That's what it is.
That's like saying, like, you know, Walmart stock dropped, and I had oatmeal for breakfast this morning. Now, it could be a coincidence, but I'm starting to think that me eating oatmeal has crashed the stock of Walmart. You know, I mean, like, these people are idiots.
Let's continue because this is fucking hilarious.
Noting that Target, too, saw a nearly 10% drop in sales after ending its diversity-related goals and initiatives in January.
25% tariffs.
And more pain could be on the horizon for these companies. A new campaign spreading on social media calls for a 24-hour blackout this Friday. It's backed by a self-described grassroots organization, the People's Union USA, and initially urged shoppers to boycott all major retailers. But other organizers have taken note, and the boycott has evolved to target specific businesses that have backtracked on DEI policy. Organizers are now asking customers to shop instead at small businesses for that day. Joining me now.
So, if you want to show those comments, we'll take the time to show some of those comments. Okay. It's because when you put it on top of the video, like the bar kind of
that's right. That's right.
See it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that people are basically agreeing, like, you know, Jason, some
weasel shit
news right there. Prairie, unfucking real,
unfucking real,
and it is, you know, that's some real brainwashing going on. I like this one. Now, this guy, he's got a red truck and a fire hose and a Dalmatian. Now, he's also, I'm not saying he's a firefighter. It could be a coincidence.
It's just this. I didn't even take the time to watch this video. I knew who the I haven't seen this video. I saw the guy listen to 15 seconds. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking gold. Yeah. And I want to react in real time, not knowing what's coming. But this video is even better than I thought it would be. This is fucking awesome.
Now, the Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC, and founder and president of the National Action Network. He's also
not political.
You know who that guy is, though, right?
Oh, yeah, Al Sharpton.
This is gonna be fucking hilarious to get his opinion on this. Oh yeah, because man, he's gonna bring Jesus into this. It's gonna be awesome. Let's see.
Author of Righteous Troublemakers: Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement in America. Rev, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday show. I am the one keeping you from enjoying the rest of your evening after having done your show. But Rev, what do you make?
Just before he gets in that, I thought it was funny where the name of his book is Telling the Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement. I'm like, is there any untold stories? Because I'm pretty sure every single one has been told again and again and again and again.
No, that's not true, actually. No, he's right. If he's honest, he's going to be talking about how BLM made hundreds of millions of dollars, and the original founders bought houses in the whitest neighborhoods, gave a shit ton of money to their families to... Yet they helped nobody. They never helped George Floyd. Somehow I don't think they're going to be talking about that.
I suspect Al's not going to dig into that. Coincidence?
But Prairie is saying, "Oh, geez, it just gets better." Man, I picked a really good video. This is very cool, very, very cool. But let's continue.
This blackout. This boycott that's planned for February 28th. And do you think boycotts are effective?
Yeah, in fact, on Martin Luther King federal holiday, National Action Network had his Martin Luther King Day rally in Washington as they were doing the inauguration across town. And we said we were doing a 90-day study of calling a boycott at our national convention, April 2nd through the 5th here in New York. And we intend to do that. We're supporting a lot of what is going on the 28th, as well as others. But we want to do a prolonged boycott against specific companies that have a large footprint in terms of a consumer base in the Black community and a small margin of profit. Companies have the right to say they will drop DEI. But then we have the right to say, if you are not going to keep diversity in your employment and your boards and your contracts, then you should not have diversity among your consumers. We all have rights. And Donald Trump cannot make people buy where they're not regarded and not respected. You must remember, Jonathan, DEI started coming to life in terms of corporate proclamations that they were going to do this, that, and the other around the George Floyd protests. We in National Action Network was on the forefront of that with other groups. I preached both of George Floyd's funerals. They jumped out there. We're going to give money. We're going to do causes. We're going to have more diversity. Now they're going to withdraw because the president, who's 3 weeks old, tells them to stop DEI. So were they disingenuous in 2020? Or are they being disingenuous now? They shouldn't do it without dollars in their pocket.
It was 2020. They were disingenuous in 2020, to answer your question, Al.
This is a can of worms that I did not want to open, but if you look at really what happened with George Floyd, you're going to notice that there's a massive fucking hidden agenda with this, because you can clearly see the original examiner and the doctor that received him at the emergency room both said that he died from a fentanyl overdose. So we got to stop. They use... I don't want to argue the George Floyd thing, but let's agree that DEI and BLM built their whole platform on his back, and they never got back to helping the family. This is one of the things that most people don't understand, is they made hundreds of millions of dollars off this shit, both BLM and DEI initiatives, yet the guys that the case that they used to build their whole empires on never got paid for being used. Like that's the part that, you look at this and you're like, do they really care? So as much as Rev right here is talking against DI, against companies. Did they really mean it? Bro, you didn't give a fuck about George Floyd either. Like, can you stop? That was a marketing opportunity for you, and you just went because you knew you'd get recognition for it. Stop lying. Stop acting better than thou. It is Christian like him that bothers me, because you don't live the values that you preach all the time. And because he protested with Martin Luther King doesn't make you righteous like Martin Luther King. It does not. And he needs to stop telling that story, because it seemed that that's the only thing that gives him validity, is the fact that 50 years ago he was part of a protest that somebody else organized, but he was there. I was there. Stop, bro. Like, you go right that train.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the question where he said, were you being disingenuous in 1920 versus disingenuous now? And that's kind of right at the question that of the day that you asked. You know, do companies really believe it? I think is the main thing. I don't think they do. You know, I think they're trying to. They just think that it was a winner. I think they thought it would help their marketing, help their branding. And the reason why they're pulling back now isn't necessarily because Trump said to, although I'm sure it provides them a convenient excuse. It's because it doesn't work at the end of the day. It
or
doesn't,
gave them an out, or gave them an out. Because you said that before. They're just like, yes, we have an excuse to do it. Let's cancel that. Let's just get rid of that crap.
Yeah, if it was helping their bottom line, they would keep it. Because, and that's fine. You know, corporations, I don't want them to be the arbiters of morality. You know what I mean? Like, just do your thing, sell your products, make sure they're good products. You've got a fiduciary duty to your shareholders, try to make money. That's fine. Not everything has to be a moral guide, right? We talked about this with Jason the other day with athletes. Like, we don't need athletes. Like, of course they're role models, but really they're role models for their excellence at their sport, and perhaps, their character as they show it. But like, we don't need to pick through their lives and say, we talked about Michael Jordan. He was also a famous gambler, like a degenerate gambler, and I believe he still is. So, not to go further down there, but like, I don't know why we're looking for corporations to be our moral guides. That just seems stupid. Like, why are we doing that? I'm perfectly okay with companies, just trying to make, worry about their bottom dollar. Now, of course, if there's actual real discrimination going on, if there's a policy like we don't hire Black people, that's illegal. And bring that up. We want to hear that. That's a major problem, right? But what I don't like is he said, like, what did he say about diversity? He's like, if you don't have diversity on your board, then
you're not going to have diversity money. Like, we're not going to buy. And you know what? This is the only thing I agree with. If you, the point in the matter is that you cast your vote with your money. If that's what you want, no problem. I have no issues with what they're doing. If that's what you want to do, no problem. What I find hilarious is that the companies that they're actually boycotting, they can't live without. This is what makes me laugh at this. It's not the fact that I don't agree that if you don't like them, don't give them your money. That's your right. There's nothing wrong with that. That is the power of money. This is why you look at a lot of, like, where I'm from in Montreal, the Jew community is very strong. You know why? Because all the businesses they associate, they all come together, they put their money together, they purchase together. Like, when we sold our services at my old company, we talked to the boards, because we knew that if they were with us, hundreds of companies in the back end would buy. But that also gives them the power to say, you know what, we don't like you. We will never do business with you. So you know that you're losing hundreds of businesses in the back end. So for them to do what they're doing is the same idea. You put people together and you say, do not buy this. But they're just not being reasonable in the companies that they're going after. And the irony, and they probably will never understand it, is that they never give a fuck. They never gave a fuck about DEI. At the end of the day, they really don't care. They did it because it paid. And like you said last time, all they were looking for is for an out. And now Trump has given it to them. So they're just like, it's not our fault. It's them.
Yeah.
Before we go back to the video,
like the NCAA was doing, right? Like, oh no, we love to have trans people, but Trump made us. Hate to tell you.
NCAA, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We have a bunch of comments. So before I go back to the video, let's show them. Joe, BLM was a noble idea that got pushed to an irrational extreme.
I agree with that.
Again, yeah, agreed. Prairie, DEI didn't earn it. Nice. Jason, check the number, but a large percentage of Walmart shoppers are employees, so they pay them like shit, and then they get their money back selling them the same products. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. I don't know the numbers. I should research it, but that wouldn't surprise me. There's zero correlation between DEI and BLM except two things: the people who profit from it, and two, the ever-repeated black dog whistle.
I disagree with that. I see BLM.
Why do you hate Jason so much?
I mean, and again, I'm open to an opposing viewpoint, but the way I see it, DEI is just a natural offshoot of, you know, movement. Maybe not BLM specifically, but movements like BLM. You know, BLM is the action, and DEI is the policy that's implemented as a result of the action.
You know what? I would agree with that. I have to do more research, but from what I already know, I can see one coming. It really started getting pushed around the same time as BLM, and you can see how they're connected, how you can use BLM to push DEI. It totally makes sense to me. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Jason again, and pay your fucking people. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Joe, at one point, I started to wonder if Sharpton and Jesse Jackson were in fact agents provocateur who were hired to disturb and discredit their entire community.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard
YouTube. We do not agree with Joe. We do not think that he's right. These are just satire comments. But
are Sharpton and Jackson protected by the algorithms?
I'm just messing. At this point, okay. I don't even mean it. Like that's the whole point, right? I'm just being extremely sarcastic, but I'm protecting our show at the same time because I mean, I get in so much trouble. I'm always getting in trouble. So this show, unlike my other, I'm trying to protect from not getting canceled. I would love to have a show that lasts, that doesn't get canceled or banned. So that's why. But Joe, I agree with you. That's not true, YouTube. But Joe, I agree with you.
But I mean that if you have people who are just whatever the movement is, if the leaders fundamentally care more for themselves than the movement, it's always going to look like that, right? It's always going to look like they are sort of, you know, and that's why leadership is so important, whatever you're talking about, whether it's a company or a movement.
Joe again, ironically, Jesse Jackson got Me Too Ed out of relevance.
Me Too. Did he actually? I haven't seen him for a while, but maybe that's what it is.
Oh, hold on. I'm checking this out right now because that I did not realize.
I'll keep going down on the comments.
Yeah.
Nico's friggin' on point. Jason with his man crush on Nico again.
It's not gay. It's only one dick, bro. Yeah, we've been through this many times.
As long
plus,
as
it's a French. Plus, it's a French penis. It's even better.
Exactly.
Hi, Joyce. Hi, Joyce.
As long as you don't make eye contact.
Hi, Joyce.
Oh, you mean Jody, my mother?
I call her Joyce. Jody. I'm sorry.
Jody. Hi, Jody. No, she's all good.
Mother J. I'm gonna call her Mother J from now on. We'll have a nickname for
her. Jason, when we're talking DEI, are we talking Eastern Europeans or Asians? No. I mean, it's
of course not.
Asian. I mean, like, remember I sent you that video? I don't think we talked about it, but it was about the Asian kid who had scored some absurdly high number on his SATs. And
don't sell it. Don't sell it.
Oh,
actually, you know what? Fuck. Of course I can. I save everything, man.
Okay, because Asians are probably the worst ones hurt by DEI. They're the ones who get penalized the most, in my opinion.
You know what, bro? I got it right here. I will shove it into this folder. And you know what? We'll finish this video.
Yep.
And we will watch it. It's obviously the perfect fucking time to do it, considering what we're talking about. But let's go back to, oh Jesus, there's a lot of comments. Yes, to answer what Joe was saying, it is true that journalists accused Reverend Jesse Jackson of sexual harassment. So, and that was back in 2017. That's even before the Me Too movement, because the Me Too movement started in I think it started around 2017, 2018. No, actually, he got Me Too'd. Good call, Prairie. I didn't realize that. Oh boy, a reverend that's committing sexual harassment. That is ironic. Walmart here employs all the immigrants. Sure, cheap labor, I guess. Guess that makes sense. Jason, when you're talking DEI, oh, you already read, and there's one more. NY varsity sport. Oh, I love that. Now they're gonna have conversations within each other.
Yeah,
the Walmart cycle is like the company store in the coal mining.
That's a good argument. Yeah, it's a good comparison. Where like you lived in the town. The coal mining company owned a general store. You'd go in there and you'd get things on credit. It would come off your paycheck. You basically wouldn't get paid. Just the company takes care of all your needs. But it was obviously
Joe, we disagreed completely last time you were here, but today you're on fucking fire. Jesus, good for you, Joe. See, even though we disagreed, I'm talking to you directly, even though that we disagreed last time, thank you for coming back. And thank you for continuing this conversation. See, this is how it's done. This is exactly why I do it. I know this is why Rob does it too. So we appreciate that. Good for you, Joe, because you're fucking on point. If I had a microphone to drop, I'd drop it right now. And Jason, one more. Dude, that was the ghost of Al Sharp, but he has a show called Politic Nation, and he will always have some nonsense to say on MSNBC in the back of his Bentley being driven by a white guy. Of course.
Yeah, he's got his from the back of his Rolls Royce talking about it. Yeah, come on, Rev.
I hope he has a white driver, because that would be funny. I would love to see that. He has and he's wearing black gloves instead of white gloves. Let's try to finish this video.
Yeah,
man, this video we're halfway through. This video keeps on giving.
And, to your point about, folks should be shopping. We should be shopping where, where our dignity is respected. You did something, I believe it was last month, Rev, where you didn't lead people on a boycott. You did a proactive thing. Didn't you you went to Costco, I believe, with people to show support for a business that hasn't walked away.
Costco announced right away that they were not going to drop DEI. And what I called was a boycott. We're going to boycott, as I said, in April, but let's have a boycott that we will buy and shop and do business with those that respect us so that we will show there is a benefit for standing up. We did it in Harlem. The next week we did it in New Jersey. We have chapters of National Action Network that's done it in Nashville and in Atlanta. We're going to continue to support openly. I brought hundreds of people shopping that day. We bought the Costco cards in each one of these locations because we want to show that we are not just negative, we're also positive. We do business with those that do business with us.
One of the things I'm researching right now, and that would not surprise me, is that he gets a kickback from this. We all know that guy, like, Costco is going to this one, to this one, to this one, to this one. If you look at his behavior, he milked George Floyd's case to gain popularity again. Would that be that surprising? And you know what? Just for sake of argument, I'm going to put this on because technically I don't have any proof, but would it be that hard to sell that's exactly what he's doing now?
No.
Costco, and I like how the Stratton brings it up. Oh, Rev, like it wasn't planned that they were going to bring that up.
Where should we go? Who are the non-racists that we should shop on? Are there any non-Nazis that are selling?
Tell us.
Yes. I think it's almost certainly correct. I doubt it's quite.
I have no proof. I have no proof though.
No, but that's just the way the world works, especially like this part of the world, like the activism part. It's not even specific like to this specific movement, but just these movement leaders, and that's why it's so important to have leaders in a movement that have integrity, because leaders without integrity will kill a movement just as sure as anything else. And if it's even if it's a valuable movement, one that's necessary, needs to happen, just people lose, they lose faith in it. People, you lose your credibility in it. So, hopefully, people within the movements, they keep their leaders to account, because when people see sort of what to me seems like obvious grifting, it just makes you think, well, okay, like if this guy doesn't even believe it, then why should I?
You know what they should do, Costco? If you really care about DEI, you should start giving a rebate on your subscription to Black people only. This will prove to us that you really care. Fuck.
Reparations.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, give them Costco reparation. That's funny. That'd be a great name for the program, though. Let's not give them ideas, okay?
Yeah, I could see them actually doing it, to be honest.
I'm sitting here quickly looking. It was more than a year. All of this reminds me of the Montgomery bus boycott that lasted for more than a year, when Black folks in Montgomery, Alabama decided they were not going to ride the buses, to show the bus company, you are not going to treat us this way. It was a level of sacrifice among those folks then to push for their own dignity. Do you think the American people today?
I'm just going to put this into perspective. So just for the people out there that don't know what this is, in the Montgomery bus boycott was done obviously in Montgomery, Alabama, but it's something that happened in December 1995 to December 1956. It was a major event in the civil rights movement in the United States, but this was part of segregation. Like, we're talking at a time in the South where Blacks could not sit with whites. So they're using such a dumb fucking example that has no correlation to what they're talking about. It's like they're almost saying right now that Walmart, McDonald's, Amazon makes them sit in the back of the bus, as in, you know what? When you use their service, you are not like other people. That's not what it's saying at all. Because no, but hold on. It's like the women that are always complaining, they're saying that they're making 75 cents for every dollar a man makes in the workforce. And my argument is always the same. If that was the case, no corporation would hire men. If you guys did the equivalent work for 75% of what a man do, guess what? They would only hire women. So that argument kills itself. And it's the same thing for those guys. They're using examples that have nothing to do with each other. Should they have boycotted Montgomery buses because of segregation? Yeah, fuck yeah, they should.
Yes,
and exactly. I hope that they would. I would be the first one with them to boycott them. But to say that Amazon is come on, like, not even fucking close.
And I think you're hitting something, you're hitting the nail on the head there, because I think at the end of the day, it's very almost convenient and easy to treat all movements as the same, but they are not. Some are right, like morally right, and some are not, right? And if your movement is right and just, it will likely be successful. And if it is not, it likely won't, right? Pete, like you said, the Montgomery thing, that was clearly wrong, and that's why it was successful. Even you can see the Dylan Mulvaney thing with Bud Light, like, clearly, that was not just conservatives, right? There's no way just conservatives could have taken that big of a chunk out of a Bud Light market share. There's a lot of people who just agreed, who thought that was wrong, and they agreed with the boycott, and that's why it was so successful. I don't think the DEI boycott is going to be as successful, because I think most people just don't agree with it.
Plus, they're literally trying to boycott companies that they depend on.
Yeah.
So Joe,
that's funny.
Joe's being an asshole. I like it. He's firing back at me from the other day.
He did add this at the end. So
he's an ass. I love it. I absolutely love assholes, because I'm one. So I fucking love it. Good on you, Joe. But Joe's saying I knew you would catch up eventually, and then he's giving me a happy face. So yeah, Joe, you're an asshole. So welcome to the club. Well, it takes one to know one, right?
This is how men show affection, right? We tease each other, we chirp each other.
Oh, Joe, I love you too, bro.
Yes,
Let's finish this. Let's try to finish this damn video, okay?
Writ large, but African Americans in particular have the same fortitude and wherewithal to have their money do the talking and not shop at places that don't respect our role in this country?
Yeah, I do think we have the ability. I think that the action that needs to be called will get widespread support, and certainly we organizing in our chapters around the country. We cannot do what we want with a White House that is against DI, with a Senate that is majority Republican against DI, and a Congress. But they can't do anything if we organize enough people to say we're not going to buy where we're not respected. You must remember, Jonathan, I grew up, as you know, started at 13 years old in Operation Breadbasket under Jesse Jackson and Reverend William Jones. So I learned you don't need 100% participation. If you're dealing with companies on a 4 to 5% margin of profit, if you can stop 7, 8, 9 out of 100 to stop shopping with them, they will have the loss statements that you read at the beginning of this segment. And the question is, can we stay out with our dignity longer than they can operate in the red? Let's see what Mr. Trump can do to help them. I say nothing. He cannot make us buy what we do not feel, where we do not feel we're respected.
He always goes back to the word dignity. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? None of those companies talked against you. None of those companies ever said they don't want your business. On the contrary, if there's people that should be pissed off by the DEI policies of companies like Best Buy, do you know that they had internal programs dedicated to non-white people in order, like people that worked at Best Buy, if they wanted to go up the corporate ladder, they had programs to help them. The only people that could not attend those certifications or those training were white people. And I talked about this when it came out last year or the year before.
That's wrong.
Yet, do you know that it's not white people that are complaining right now that are saying, hey, you guys are a bunch of racists? It's literally the people that benefited from DEI for the past 4 years that now they're getting their free cookie removed and they're all pissy and acting like children. Just like that woman from Idaho that screams at, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah.
The other day, and I'm going to give you credit for this one too, you did say that we would see a breakdown down the road. Where we disagreed is the timing. And this again is proving my point. Like the timing is not down the road. Where we agree, they're going to be a breakdown of the woke and they're going to keep on going crazy and crazier and crazier. But I don't think it's down the road. We're fucking seeing it live right now. And it's fucking hilarious if you ask me.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you brought up the word dignity. And I think that's important. I mean, to me, you know, you can make the case that DEI is essentially I guess a worldview where minorities should be given handouts, should be given things that they didn't necessarily earn. And to me, that's undignified. Like, you know, that to me, that's you can make the argument that that's taking away their dignity. You know, I think a lot of people who are, you know, people of color or whatnot, they don't necessarily agree with that. You know, a meritocratic system is the way to go. Now, if the reason why this movement in the beginning was necessary is because in the not too distant past, there were companies, right, who had either official or unofficial policies where, you know, they wanted to be white only and they wouldn't hire minorities. And that was a problem. That was wrong. And these movements sprang up as a result of that. But that's not the case anymore. I just do not believe there are companies out there, you know, who are just not high. Like, could you find the odd aberration? Sure. But as part of the culture, it's just not true anymore.
And, you know, here's a definition of dignity: the state or quality of being worthy of honor or respect, a composed or serious manner or style, or a sense of pride in oneself, self-respect. So please explain to me how they're stealing that from, but a sense of pride in oneself, self-respect. How are they stealing that away from you? How are they the state or quality of being worthy or honor or respect? How are they in the Montgomery buses? Absolutely. And that's what Jason is talking about. Like, yo, really? That asshat is really seriously making this comparison? Is his brain broken? And I agree with you. Like, the comparison makes no sense. They're fishing, and that's all they got. They cannot find anything intelligent to say. But just like Rachel Maddow, just like Joy Reid, they're trying to grasp at the identity card, and unfortunately for them, it's not working anymore. And that's why their boycott is not going to work, because it's not based on anything real. They're really just acting like kids throwing a tantrum.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that, and again, I think, we've talked about, again, this vibe shift, but I think sanity is coming back. But I think what Jason said here was, that was funny. I mean, Jason said these people seriously think there's a diversity issue at play that pays people at a place that pays people like shit. Yeah, like Walmart pays people like shit, right? If they actually cared about, people like minorities, or pay them a living wage. Don't just take advantage of them for cheap labor. I like what he says here. Please make Trump derangement syndrome a medical diagnosis and insured. And mRNA, yeah, you got to take your booster. Just give them the drug.
You know what? Stop giving them ideas, because that would sell. That would actually fucking sell. Jason, stop it. And we don't need this type of shit.
What Jason says here, this is the crux of it. It's hurting the cause.
100%.
That's the main. It's not that I don't. I like they'll frame being against DEI as like, oh, you hate black people. No, you idiot. I actually think it hurts black people. Maybe there may be some individual black people who get, or just minorities in general who it's an advantage to them. But in the long term, it is not. It does not help minorities to do this thing.
Now,
meritocracy. That's the only way to go.
So
real
I
diversity
wanted to
will occur. I'll just the final thing I was going to say is, if you go by a genuine meritocracy, diversity will just happen naturally. It will happen organically, especially in a diverse 100%. Society like the West.
So this is the last part that I'm going to add to this before we show your DEI video, that Asian person you were talking about earlier. Now, I'm just showing her picture because I want you guys to know who we're talking to. Or we're talking about, like, Leslie Jones. We're familiar with this girl.
Yeah,
like,
she's on
SNL around, right?
Yeah.
So there's this article that was that I found is from MSNBC 5 Chicago. So it's obviously a left-leaning media. And oh shit, that's the wrong one. That is Jesse Jackson being accused of sexual harassment. My bad. Time Recorder. The Time Recorder reports and quotes here. Leslie, where is she? Leslie Jones is calling for not only a boycott of the companies. Oh, here we go. Leslie Jones. This is the part I'm going to highlight it so that people see what I'm talking about. But basically, she's talking about the February 28th, so the boycott that's going to be happening tomorrow. And what she's saying is that not only should we boycott those companies, but she encourages consumers to buy directly from Black-owned businesses. So now, not only are they telling us that DEI is somehow removing DEI policies is hurting them, but now they're encouraging people to be racist and buy from Black-owned businesses. Are they fucking insane? Like, do they not see the irony in what they're saying? Like, they're literally telling us that they need DEI to get jobs, and now in response to that, let's be racist against white people. Let's be racist against Mexicans. Let's be racist against white people, brown people, Asian people, and you should just support Black businesses. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you not understand the fucking irony in this? Like, are they retarded? Sorry for the retards out there. I'm sorry.
I mean, to me, I think when you see stuff like this, I think it's a real easy system or a way to figure out if what you're saying is wrong or racist. Just simply replace the identity group that you're using with an identity group that is not in favor by the left. So in this scenario, imagine if someone had said, just spend your money at white-owned businesses. We can all clearly see that would be wrong. So if you do that and it's wrong, then it's wrong any way you say it, and you shouldn't have said it. It's just how I see.
So Joe,
I was looking at this comment. That was a good one.
The left went all in on identity politics the day after the Berlin Wall came down. It was the only way to maintain the pretense of choice in a two-party system. Yeah, you know what? I don't know enough about that to actually give my opinion.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an interesting intellectual discussion about how and why they did so. But the most important thing is they did go all in on identity politics. And that's really, regardless of how we got there, that's what we need to go against.
No, agreed. Running stairs in a building is meritocracy. Getting in the building is not. Agreed. We absolutely agree. Getting the opportunity to apply for a job versus getting the job because of your the color of your skin. Two very different things, but we agree. Now, this is where I think Jason is not getting my point. Really racist. You guys on this very show talked about the benefit of Jewish people supporting each other. You can understand the irony. No, but hold on. But be careful. I never said that those Jewish companies only bought from Jewish people. What I said is that they put their money together. And I clearly said earlier when Reverend, whatever his name is, was saying that Black people should stand together. I totally agree. Do like Jewish people do. But never did I say that Jewish are not buying from non-Jewish companies. And this is where I'm saying that is the problem. There's a difference between saying, let's put our money together because ethnically, if that's the choice you make, whatever, ethnically, you want to put your purchasing power together, that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. Go for it. But then to tell me that you're not going to buy from white people because they ain't Black, that's racist. This is what I'm saying. And the Jewish that we dealt with, they really did not give a fuck the color of your skin. If there was a bunch of Black guys that could do our service for cheaper, guess what? They would have fucking bought from the Black guys. They didn't care. They really did not care about the color of the skin. They just, because they were similar in religion, they put their money together, but they would buy from the best price. They didn't give a fuck who sold it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to tell people how to spend their money. I mean, that's, again, essentially that's free speech. How you want to spend your money, whatever. Personally, I think it's, I don't like it. I think it's socially divisive to base your spending purchases on the color of the skin of the people who own the business. That's my own personal opinion. At the end of the day, there's no way to police that, nor should there be. It's a free society. People should be able to do whatever they want, including to do things that might be offensive to other people. I think it's wrong. And whether it's Jews, Black people, anybody, I just don't think anybody should be, basing their purchasing power on, the ethnicity of the business.
At the end of the day, it doesn't even bother me that they do. I don't even fucking care. I just want to point out the irony. And this is what we do a lot. Especially this is what I've been doing about wokeness for years now. I don't even debate with woke people. I just want to point out the irony that they will adapt their language whenever it fits them. But if you actually look at what they're saying, everything they say is very ironical. Joe, again, well, the left no longer had to pretend to care about the working class once communism fell in Europe.
It's a debate. I mean, it's a point. It's an argument.
I think it just evolved. I think it just evolved because communism. If you look at the history of Marxism and what it started using wokeism we talked about this on the Levine show yesterday. How it's absolutely brilliant what they did. Instead of doing it on a monetary system, as in the haves and the have-not, that Karl Marx built communism on, they evolved into a feeling. They evolved into, oh, we feel oppressed. It's not even that you're oppressed anymore. It's about, because it was tangible. When it's about money, you can clearly see who has some and who doesn't. But the brilliance of wokeism and where it evolved is that now it's all about feelings. It's something that you can change every single day of your life. And still they're using the same tactics. So it's brilliant. As much as I dislike Marxism, I dislike communism, what they did with wokeism in the West is fucking brilliant. The people that thought about this shit are fucking, the Saul Alinsky are fucking brilliant minds, even though I don't like them.
So just what Joe says there. I mean, you know, I may disagree with the mechanism. It's an interesting discussion. I'd like to have it someday. But one thing that I think is definitely there's definitely some meat on that bone is this idea that a lot of these problems started around that time when communism fell. I'm not sure it was quite so transactional where communism fell and the left just said, oh, sweet, now we don't have to pretend to worry about the working class. What I think is that the Cold War masked a lot of social problems and social divisions back here in the West. I think that when there's a common enemy, it's very easy to have social cohesion back here. And then as soon as we didn't have it, all these other problems that I think were maybe muted or swept under the rug for the, you know, just so we could be patriotic, and all that came to the forefront. And then all these divisions started to become much more obvious. So the exact mechanism of that, I'm not sure, but I do think you could probably make a strong case to trace a lot of this stuff back towards that time period, you know, 89, 90, 91, when communism fell.
Joe, we are actually agreeing here. It is genius. See, I knew you'd come around, bro. I knew it. I knew you'd come around. Jason agreed that's different, and Trump, like the Jews, cares about his money over who and what. You know, at the end of the day, man, it's all about money. I don't care who you're talking about, unless their values are based on a really strong moral system. If all they care about is about money, they don't care who they hire. Whoever does the job for cheapest, chances are that's exactly where the fuck the money's going. So Jason, we agree, and Joe, we agree, and he even says we have excellent points. So I don't know if he's talking to you and I, or to you or I, but I'm going to take the credit and say,
oh, yeah, of course.
I knew you'd come around, bro. I knew it.
But I mean, that's what we do here. That's what we do here on this show, right? We seek to find common ground, and when you genuinely seek to find it with reasonable people in good faith, I think you will a lot of the time.
And you know, Joe, again, I said it earlier, I'm happy you came back. I'm happy that after even our conversation last time, you chose to come back. And I really like your comments. Even in this case, strangely enough, we seem to agree, which I know that it's not gonna always be the case, but I always welcome those conversations. So thank you. And Prairie, 100% clap, clap. Awesome. Now, this is a video I've been sitting on for almost a week now, I think. And it didn't make sense last week. We weren't able to get to it. But today, I didn't even watch this video, but this comes from Rob. So if the video sucks, you can blame him. But considering the subject, I think it's bang on. It's perfect timing to do it. So let's play it.
Teen hired straight out of high school by Google as a PhD-level software engineer, yet he was rejected by most colleges he applied to, including 5 UC campuses, even with a 4.4 GPA and a 1590 out of 1600 on the SATs.
Some of them were certainly expected, you know, Stanford, MIT, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some of them like Cal Poly, some of the state schools, I really thought, you know, I had a good chance.
His name, Stanley Jong, and he and his father just filed a lawsuit against the University of California and the U.S. Department of Education. The Jongs allege that UC is engaging in racial discrimination in admissions despite the law banning the use of race in the process. I want to show the UC statement to us when we inquire. They call these lawsuits meritless, and they also say the UC undergraduate admissions application collects students' race and ethnicity for statistical purposes only. The information is not shared with application reviewers and is not used for admission. Some people might look at this and say, look, Stanley is working at Google, making good money with a dream job that top university graduates aspire to. Why does he want to be a part of this? And for you, some critics might be, why are you not letting this go?
There's a bigger story here. First of all, I think the story is bigger than Stanley himself and bigger than myself for sure.
Why do you care about racism against your people? You've got a job.
Of Asian applicants going forward, including my other kids and my future grandkids.
You know, I just want to go back to his scores.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Like, hold on. Let's replay this again, because this is like, how did you not get that 10 extra point?
They should be fighting
like,
over each other to get a guy like this.
Bro, you might as well have a fucking perfect score. Like, listen to those numbers again.
Even with a 4.4 GPA and a 1590 out of 1600 on the SATs.
Like,
1590.
That is like 10 points off. Like, what the fuck did he do to miss that? I'm kind of disappointed in him. It could have been a perfect score. Like, what a fucking sniper.
Yeah, you couldn't get those 10 points.
It's like, what'd you do? Like, come on, bro. But this is as good as it gets, and he gets refused by a fucking university, like University of California.
10 or 11. Most of them were University of Cal system. So, which again,
they were all like, you saw it. Hold on. Let's they actually were showing it like right on
okay. Stanford.
You can see it right now.
US.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 of the 12 universities are in California. University of Washington, that's Timmy Tampon territory right there. University of Wisconsin
is the sharp edge of this, the whole DEI thing, right? And for whatever reason, Asians seem to be really, really, like, again, the whole woke thing, and we've talked about sort of definitions, but when I say it, what I'm talking about is a worldview that distills every person down to their identity, their immutable traits, and then has a list of favored identity groups and non-favored identity groups. And if you're at the top of the list, you can do no wrong, and you're going to be at the top of the list for jobs, for scholarships. And for whatever reason, Asians are down there with white people as non-favored identity groups, and it's just wrong. It just creates division. It creates resentment. It's not a good way to organize your society. Even if you might, even if you could say, well, their heart was in the right place, or well, it means well. Regardless of whether it means well or not, we can see in practice it doesn't have good outcomes. It hurts. It hurts everybody, right? It hurts people who are deserving. It punishes excellence, and it rewards mediocrity, and that's never a good way to organize your society.
We agree, man. It's really one of those things that is shocking to me. Like, it makes no sense. And what would have been funny is if they changed his name. If when they applied with the same score, they had like Tyrone Brown, just for sake of argument, right? I just made that name up. Hopefully that guy does not exist, because that'd be fucking funny. But
it's just
I would have wondered. Was that?
I'd love to hear the justification. Like, what's the we all know, but like, there's just no way you could make the case.
Literally a perfect score. Yeah. Literally a perfect score. Like, what's the GPA maximum? What's the GPA? Like 4.5?
Might be it. Maybe 4.5.
No, it's 5. It's 5.
Okay.
It's 5.
Okay. But like, even 4.0, you're an elite student if you're even at 4.0, right? That's
no, actually, what is the highest GPA? GPA is calculated on a scale between 0 to 4. So 4 is the highest GPA you can achieve in most classes. What the fuck? No, see, even Jason is confirming.
Oh, 4.0 is the max. Yeah.
Are you fucking... So he literally had
as 14, good as you can get.
a 1590 on 1600 GPA. Not GPA, but his shit, how do you call it?
SATs?
SATs.
Yep.
And he literally had a perfect score on both his SATs and his GPA, and he got refused. Like, how are those guys not fighting for this dude, saying like, we want that?
They should be fighting each other to get a guy like this.
There's a good reason that guy works at Google, because he's just that fucking good.
I hired a Google out of high school, and he can't get into fucking university. That's crazy. But here, I think Jason hits the nail on the head here, right? The Asian culture is an academic one instead of little league. The parents made the kids stay in the kitchen and study.
Yep.
They work their whole lives for this moment, and that is why I believe that the wokes place Asians as an unfavored identity group because of excellence. Because essentially, woke is about penalizing and punishing excellence, and Asian culture disproves the very core argument that woke is trying to put forward. and they punish them for it, and it's wrong. It's not right.
So the broness is continuing with Jason.
Of course, yeah.
I can't even read that. You can read it if you want, but that
Nico's
sounds too
good
cocky.
looks, and also his French accent. I'm sure he's an 11 out of a possible 10. I mean,
So
Jason,
I'm-
brother, it's the evidence is piling up. It's definitely piling up.
But man, it's been an interesting one, bro. Like we only touched 2 subjects that I really wanted to talk about, but not only actually.
That's kind of what this show is about, though, right? We have our things we want to talk about, but then the conversation goes where the conversation goes.
Yeah. We got 18 minutes. I want to bring another subject. We'll take the time to talk about this one.
Yep.
Because I thought this, I'm going to go grab the actual article that I kept for this because I was kind of mind blown on that one. But read what Jason wrote because I know this one. I'll just grab what I need.
I'll just go through it. Jason's, I'm really enjoying the show. It's 9 a.m. my time. He is in California. Starts his morning. This could be a new switch for the future. Well, I mean, we love to hear it. We love having Jason is our friend of the show. He's on here every Wednesday, but obviously as a viewer, he loves it too. And we love that stuff. Keep pumping our egos. Except maybe not Nico's. His ego's already pumped enough. Maybe deflate that a little bit. All about that French dick. Yeah, you can actually have 2, I believe, 2 French dicks, and it's not gay. As long as they're French, it's only one when it's an Anglo.
It's not even gay to make eye contact if it's a French guy.
Yeah, exactly right. Gay,
Hi,
Frenchies are always. He's making eye contact with you too.
Oh, he is. He kind of creeped me out when he was doing it the other day, or yesterday, actually.
Nah, he loves that stuff.
Oh yeah, of course he does. He dirty.
Oh,
he
yeah.
dirty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I can't admit that on camera. Plus, my wife is hearing our conversation. So
is your wife always like just right there off camera when we're doing shows?
We're in an RV, bro. So literally, we have 40 feet of RV, but it's all open. And now she's in the bedroom because she's on meetings too. But normally, bro, she's right at the table right here. I could literally do this and make eye contact with her right there. Oh, yeah. Bro,
is she just rolling her eyes all the time or what? Like my girlfriend would be doing the exact same thing.
She we've known each other for about 7 years. We've been together for more than 5. Yeah. So she was around when I first started doing podcasts.
Okay.
Like she met me. I was an engineer, was wearing a suit every day, and then
the old bait and switch. The old bait and switch.
But honey, now she gets to hear me. Like I got 9 podcasts this week. Oh, so she gets to listen to this shit again, 9 fucking times, again and again and again and again and again. So that's so I'm not gay, my husband is. Exactly. And Jason's also saying she's about to become a mother. Man, she is chilling. Absolutely. Hey, bro. Not only is she going to become a mother, but the joke that's going on right now is that she's going to give birth to a boy. So we're going to have a mini me, and I'm going to teach him to fuck with her. I like to fuck with people. I am a genuine asshole in real life. I love to play tricks on people. So we're going to double tag team this. Like we're going to have signals to fuck with her. It's going to be fucking awesome. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, is to build that relationship, to mess
just with our partners in crime kind of thing.
100%. Just a mini bald me. No, hopefully you'll have hair. Hopefully you'll have hair. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, it's a bit more serious. I don't even know if I should bring it up, but I'll bring it up just because it was very, very, it kind of blew my mind. I had never thought about this, and it's about the Trump tariffs. So they were saying that originally the tariffs were supposed to be last month. Then they came that it should be on March 4th. We heard that they might be pushed to next month. It seems that some will, some won't. So as per what Trump was saying, there will still be tariffs taking place on March 4th. But the thing I really wanted to talk about, because in Canada, man, all they're talking about right now, like the Liberal Party's having their leadership race. So whoever wins will become the next Prime Minister of Canada by default. And all they talk about is Trump this, Trump that, tariff this, tariff that. And even the conservative won't shut up about this. Yet I have not heard them once talk about what's mentioned in that article from the Epoch Times. And it's absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if you heard about it. I wanted to talk about this week, but we ran out of time. But did you hear that Apple has announced that they will invest $500 billion in the US? It would be creating something like 20,000 American jobs. That's so I wanted to report about that last week. I totally forgot. But not only that, but because the US is because Apple announced that $500 billion, Saudi Arabia is also committing to invest $600 billion in the US. So between, oh shit, my camera overheated. Between those two companies, we're talking about $1.1 trillion of investment.
Wow.
And the thing is that what is amazing about this and what they're not being talked about is what this guy in the article, he quotes this guy, and this is here. US focus on business. And if there's a problem in Canada, we don't support our small businesses. We don't support businesses at all. We tax them out of existence. And during COVID, so many people lost their fucking jobs because of the way, like, it is really businesses, that were lost. And one of the things that they mention is this: through executive order, Trump is playing with regulations to help businesses. This is why it's attracting like Apple. This is why it's attracting Saudi Arabia. So basically what this article is saying is Canada needs to be not really worried about tariffs because they probably won't last that long, but we're not business friendly.
Yeah.
We don't like our businesses. So by what Trump is doing right now, by putting good policies in place to boost investments, to bring international businesses to the US, he will take away our competitive edge in Canada to have those same businesses. So chances are, by association, those businesses are going to leave Canada to go to the US. And that's basically what the article is talking about, how the tariffs are one thing, but imagine what that could do to our economy.
Well, now, and if you actually go to the top of the article, I noticed that he actually mentions, right, it says, on the same day, if you go down, on the same day that New Brunswick's Irving Paper closed half of its operations, cut out, did layoffs on half their workforce. So that's New Brunswick. That's where I am. Irving Oil is like this old money family. They own like so many industries and businesses. They're huge. And this is big news. This is really big news that they laid off half the pulp and paper employees. And the reason they gave was, basically what you're saying, not business friendly environment, but specifically electricity rates for businesses were too high, way too high. And the thing that made them way too high was a lot of the carbon tax and taxes on energy and climate change stuff that we've done. And it's like, regardless of what you feel about climate change and whatnot, why are we in Canada hamstringing our businesses? I mean, if you ever see like the emissions graph from China versus Canada, we're like not even a fraction of a fraction. There's literally nothing that any, carbon tax or regulations here in Canada will actually do with regards to, greenhouse gases or CO2 emissions. So it's like, why are we doing it then? If it's not going to do anything in the real world, it's going to have no practical effect. Why are we taxing our businesses? Why are we hurting ourselves just for a performance, right? Why are we doing it so that we can virtue signal about how we're tackling climate change? And, even if you really, really believe in climate change and you think that's a good thing, you should at least agree that if it's not going to do anything for climate change, we shouldn't be doing it, right? Like, what is the point? Just to like, thump our chests at WEF meetings or in Davos, Switzerland, to the other, global leaders about how, you know, how much we've taxed our business and our people, and look at all the good things we're doing for climate change. It doesn't matter that it's not doing anything. It doesn't matter that it has absolutely no effect. What matters to these people is that, you know, it's that we get to say that we did it. It's virtue signaling. And on the other side, so on the one hand, you're not doing anything to actually combat climate change. And then the other side, you actually are doing things to hurt Canadians, right? Those are real people that lost their jobs. I think it was 500 jobs or something. If you know anything about New Brunswick, that's a lot. We're a small province. There aren't that many people. That's a lot of people to lose their jobs. You know, people who, those are pretty good jobs, right? Manufacturing jobs. And now
140.
You know,
I think it was 140.
Okay. But still, like, it's a lot for New Brunswick. The point is whether it's a million or just 140, those are real people, right? Those are real people, and they're suffering. You know, it's real misery. And if the things like the carbon tax, if it actually did something, maybe you could make the case, well, it's worth a trade-off. But it doesn't. Why are we doing things that don't have any practical effect, just to virtue signal our how serious we are about climate change? And I think that goes exactly to what you're saying, just this anti-business environment in Canada. Because, yeah, it's a global world now. Companies can go anywhere. They don't have to go to any one place. They're going to go to the places where, you know, it's business friendly, where it makes sense for them with good tax, good tax regimes. And, you know, not some regulations obviously are necessary, but there's also a point where it becomes stifling. And in Canada, we're definitely at that point. We're at that place. And if we're not careful, a lot of these companies are going to leave. And then where will we be? You know, we're going to have to join the US because we'll have nothing.
And this is what I found that was so brilliant about that article, because all we keep hearing about is tariff this, tariff that. We're treating Trump like a boogeyman that's destroying our economy, yet it's the liberals that's been destroying our economy for the past 10 years. It's our politicians that are responsible for the state of affairs that we find ourselves in Canada. It ain't
Absolutely.
Trump. Trump was not in fucking power. It's not Trump. And again, what Trump is doing now, he's doing what's best for his country. Canada is not his concern. So you can hate, because I see people coming, you know what's going to happen next. People are going to start talking about this and they're still going to blame Trump. No. Back in the days, Montreal, because of where it's located, for the people that are not very familiar with Canada, with what Canada looks like, I'm going to bring a map. I'm just going to show you something. And that's been happening forever. This is nothing new. This has been going on for at least one or two, like probably 20 years, 30 years. So basically, I'll just show this map, right? Just to give perspective to our American friends here, but right here. So this is the Atlantic, as you can see. This is the Atlantic. Montreal's right here. Toronto's right here. So to give you a bit of perspective, in order to get to Toronto, you need to go through Montreal. So if you're importing goods, Montreal used to be the port where everything would go. So everything goes through Montreal, and obviously that means businesses would set up in Montreal. Mm-hmm. The Quebec province made it so hard for businesses to stay there by taxing them, by forcing all their employees to have to speak French, to not creating an environment that was encouraging for businesses to be there. You know what happened? They moved from Montreal, from the province of Quebec, and they went to Toronto. They went to Ontario, where they were friendlier to businesses. And now Toronto has been the place where most businesses that have international offices or have bigger corporations, they set up in Toronto, and they won't set up in Montreal because we've never made it friendly for them. Yet we had the advantage, the physical advantage of being the entry point of this fucking continent. We're not just talking Canada, we're talking fucking continent. And I lived half of my life in Toronto almost, and half of my life in Montreal. And we had all the power in Quebec to be friendly to businesses, and it would be so much richer if we did the right thing. But this is what they're doing again. So they've been doing this for so long. Now it's not just in Montreal, it's not just in Toronto, it's everywhere in Canada.
It's all of Canada. Yeah, the same dynamic will happen again, right? If you have
instead of being just in Quebec, it's on a federal level now, because Trudeau has been stifling businesses for 9 years now. So don't blame Trump for what he's doing, because he's trying to do what's best. At least, again, in this situation, he seems to be doing what's best for the US to bring investment to the US. Like we were talking, the $500 billion from Apple, you're talking 20,000 jobs. And even working as one of their experts, they make really good money. Just being somebody that sells fucking cell phone, that answers questions for cell phones. So you're talking about really good middle-class businesses that are going to be open, 20,000 of them. Those are the jobs that you want. 100%. Those are the jobs that, if Trump continues doing this, the other day we were talking about small wins. They just passed policies that the Democrats voted against it, but cut the taxes on social service, on social, what is it on the, where are the social payments? Social security. So cut social security taxes, cut overtime taxes, and cut taxes on tips. They just voted. Every single Democrat voted against it. Every single Republican voted for it. Like, this is the type of shit, like, are you shooting yourself in the foot again and again and again? And that's what Canada is doing with this. So don't blame Trump for what he's doing. He's doing what seems to be the right thing for his country. But we need to look up to our politicians and take your head out, like, take your head out of your asses. Stop blaming a boogeyman that does not exist, and do your fucking job. Do what's best for us, because you motherfuckers, you work for us, not the other way around. So fucking do your job. I'm really tired of this shit, because this article is bang on, brilliant. If you need Epoch Times, go check it out. I love that fucking newspaper. It's somewhere in the middle. It's Canadian. It's fucking common sense. But can we stop blaming others and fucking taking accountability for our actions in Canada, and stop blaming Trump, that's been in power for 5 fucking weeks, for the problems that we've been dealing with for a fucking decade?
Yeah, that's right. It's funny you brought up like Montreal, because if you remember back when we were kids, like probably 30 years ago, Montreal and Toronto were kind of neck and neck in sort of like population and like desirability for international business. And now it's not even close, right? And that's how
the GTA is 7 million. Montreal's about 1.5-ish.
Yeah,
it's almost 30, it's 5 times the.
It could have gone either way, right? It could have gone either way, but it was policies that did that. And no, it doesn't happen overnight. But what happens is, once it happens, there's no stopping it, right? You can't reverse that trend. And in the case where like Montreal and Toronto, yeah, you could say like at least it stayed in the same country, but now it's the same dynamic going on, zoomed out. And once they leave Canada, they will not come back. We can't just wait and like, the time to do something is now, while companies are still here, because it does take, investment of time and energy and money to move to another country. That's why a lot of companies will choose not to do it. But if you make it so bad that they have to do it, or they feel they have to do it, once that decision is made, they're not coming back. And like you said, we do need to pull our head out of our asses. There's no point in blaming Trump. At the end of the day, he is going to look out for American interests, or at least what he perceives as American interests, as he should. And the only way to like think about Trump is like it's a natural disaster or a natural force. It'd be like, why it'd be like complaining about the wind or the rain. You know what I mean? It's just something you have to deal with, accept it, and figure out, okay, how do we behave within this new paradigm? Because just throwing barbs at Trump might feel good. It might give you some sort of like, chest pumping. It might make your base feel good. It doesn't help Canada whatsoever, right? Don't complain about things you have no control over. Let's worry about the things we do have control over.
And you know, Prairie, this is where you and I will agree. I do believe that Pierre Poilievre is a weak leader.
Oh yeah.
He's a flip-flopper. He's spineless. I totally agree. He plays the polls. Whatever's popular to have as an opinion, that's what he seems to have. He is a lot more like the liberals than he is like a conservative. And I agree, because you know what bothers me the most, Prairie, about Pierre Poilievre is not even the fact that he's a weak leader. Like, we can argue until we're blue in the face to say he is or he isn't. He's opportunistic. He always goes for what's popular. That's what bothers me. What bothers me is that he's never taken a stance on anything. He looks like he's just, oh, whatever's popular, we'll do it. But at the end of the day, he's had so many chances over the past month, just ever since Trump became president again. He's had so many opportunities to just say, you know what, if I was prime minister, I would sit down with Trump and figure it out. If I was prime minister, I would bring back opportunities in Canada for business investments. Like, he would actually look at what Trump is doing, and you don't need to like him to look at what he's doing and say, you know what, he does have a point. Why not put a Doge department? If I'm elected, I will put a Doge department to make sure that we're spending your tax money the right way. If I'm elected, I will make sure that we have a free exchange agreement with the US like we've always had. If I'm elected, I will stand up for you. I will make sure that businesses will want to be in Canada, stay in Canada, and will continue to invest. Can you imagine if he actually stood up and actually said those things that nobody else that's in the race right now is actually talking about? Like, this is what Canada wants to hear. This is what will make Canadians say, you know what? Love Trump or not, he seems to care what's best for the US. Instead of blaming him, let's see where we can align and do the same for Canada. Can you imagine $1.1 trillion over the past week between Apple and Saudi Arabia? Can you imagine the amount of jobs that would be in? Why would they go to the US and not Canada? Why? What's the difference? Why are they going to the US? Yeah. They're not going to Canada. And as per Epoch Times, it's because we don't treat businesses the right way. We don't give a fuck about them. So,
what,
you know,
what, and it's not, it's even more than that, because with the way the dollar is, the US dollar, it's actually, they can save a lot of money just by putting, by setting up shop in Canada. So the difference is it's, if it was even close, if US was just a little bit better than Canada, they would still come here.
40%. It's about 40% right now.
Yeah.
Like, we are 60% of the dollar.
For them to not come here means it's not even close, right? If we were just a little bit worse than the United States, then they would still come here, because it still makes it worth it, right? The dollar would make everything else even out. But the fact that they're not setting up shop here means that, like, it isn't even close. But when they calculate the pluses and minuses of both countries.
Good point, bro. I couldn't have said it better. You're absolutely right. It's all about money. Like we've said for DEI policies, it's all about money.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely right. Literally right now, because I'm in the US at the moment and I know the change rate. I love being in the US and my clients pay me in US dollars. So I love it, because Canada wise, bro, our dollar compared to the US now is like 64%.
Oh yeah,
so
it's
and since it's because of Trudeau not doing anything, and Trump keeps on trying to bring up the value of the dollar, Trudeau's destroying our economy. So we're sitting at a point where you're absolutely right, because if that's not attractive to businesses, how the fuck is it not attractive to almost have 40% off right off the top? Ding, ding. That means we're taxing the shit out of them. We're making all our processes so complicated and so expensive for them to do it that they're just like, fuck you, not worth it. And I'd probably add one more thing. They probably don't trust our government either, because no matter where they're looking right now, it doesn't matter that they're looking at the liberals or looking at the conservatives. They're both selling the same thing. So know that whoever, at least if there was a chance that if the conservatives are elected, it would change. They would like, you know what? Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what happens. But now, whoever you're looking at, they're doing the same fucking thing. So it's not even, there's not even that time commitment that could be shit. We'll wait and see. Yeah. Right now, why the fuck would you stay in Canada if you got guys like Trump making policy changes that invites foreign investment, that invites businesses to go to the US? And they're right there. It's not like they have fucking far to travel either, right? They're literally right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, with the difference in the Canadian dollar, like that's such a huge advantage in and of itself, that the fact that they're not coming up here means that like it's not even close, right? They run the numbers. These are real smart guys, right? They pay a lot of really smart people a lot of money to assess, make these decisions. And if they're coming up and saying no, it's still not worth it, there's a problem. You know, there's a problem here.
We agree, man. On that note, man, wow, one fucking video drove us, 2 videos drove us literally 2 hours. So, man, guys that are listening to this, once again, I'm going to say it every single time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for so many comments. You guys have no idea how much we enjoy interacting with you guys live. That's why we do it live. We fucking appreciate your time, because we know how many people create content out there. Nothing like us. Let's agree here. We're special. We're not the same as what's out there, but that doesn't mean we don't appreciate your time. And I'm not going to speak for Rob, but I got to tell you guys, love you guys. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your comments. I want to make sure you remember that next Tuesday, we will have Judith Curie, climatologist, used to teach at Georgia Tech, which was one of the university that rejected our extremely smart Asian guy from earlier.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I noticed that. So that just kind of confirms what I was saying, how high end of a university that is. But she used to be a climatologist professor at Georgia Tech. Now she works for the private sector because she basically got run out of her job for being against the climate change narrative. However you feel about it, this is what we're going to be talking about. But she was ostracized for not agreeing with the supposed fact that the science has been.
I really can't wait to talk to her.
What's the name of what's the expression? The science has been
settled. It's settled, don't you know?
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. The science is settled.
Which of course is not one. I mean, science.
But she had the audacity to question, and we're gonna have her on. So, guys, Tuesday, March 4th, that's next week. If you believe in climate change, and I'm not making fun of you here, if I'm being honest, if you believe in climate change, just like our friend Rob, join us. This is an open invitation to you to hear somebody that has a different opinion than you. You get to ask her questions if you want, because I will be moderating this. I have her on the show for Rob, especially because I want him to be able to drill her with questions that are going to either help him change his mind or expose her. That's the whole point, right? We're having her on Tuesday, and we have another great fucking guest on March 6th, Dr. Andy Kaufman. Great dude. I also recorded a podcast with him. Both of them, they're fucking phenomenal. You're going to like this one as well, Rob. But the question for you guys out there, make sure if you have questions for those guys,
send them in. We'd like to
join us. Oh, absolutely. We will always take questions from you guys to ask them. So March 4th, Judy Curie. March 6th, Dr. Andy Kaufman. And I will have to add. Yeah, go for it. If you have something to say, go for it. I was
going to say, just for the any left-wing listeners out there, you might be sort of turned off by, climate change denier. But at the end of the day, like, this should not be ideological, right? If there is a problem, it shouldn't be political. At the end of the day, like I said, or like Nico said, I do believe in climate change, but that's not a political opinion of mine. I just want to get it right. You know what I mean? And I don't really care where that lands. I just want to get it right. So I want to hear from all sides, as long as they have something valuable to contribute. And she's a climate scientist, right? She's out there doing the data. She clearly, I'm really interested to see sort of what she has to say. I want to ask her my own questions. but she clearly brings something valuable to the conversation. So I assume she probably started out as a believer, and the data convinced her otherwise. And I want to know what that was.
Brother, that's the spirit of this show. So good call, good sell. And Prairie, great show, great chat, conversation as well. Thanks for the welcome. Fuck. Thank you. Thanks to you.
That stuff makes the show, guys. Like, I mean, Nico, you've been doing this a lot longer than me. So you probably knew this already, but for me, like it feels completely different when you get an engagement from the audience. You know, that's why we do it live is so you guys engage with us. You know, we're enjoying this just as much as you are. And we're not just doing a show, you know, we're trying to create a community here, and that you know, engagement from the audience, it makes it feel like that.
Well said, brother. So on that note, we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.
Catch you tomorrow.